Hey guys, this is John Moline. I'm going to do a quick demonstration of this app that I created to connect to the Twitter APIs. So real quick, let me get this thing started here. I'm going to load up my Android device. One second, guys. Okay, here's my Android device running. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to first start my logger just so we can watch the responses coming back. So 1 second. Okay, logging is now enabled. Let's go ahead and run our device app. Alright, so now we're going to see the app load into this emulator here in a second. And I'll explain what I'm going to do here in 2 seconds. Alright, app is installing. And here we go with the intent. Okay, now the React data start. So now I have this test ID, which basically goes into an integration back here in my Amazon Web Services service. What's going to happen is I'm going to pass this user ID and password to this service. It's then going to send me back an accepted response in the form of a token and a success message, etc. And then it's going to do a consecutive call to Twitter to authenticate to it. And then I'm going to get redirected to a web app where I have to basically concur that I want this mobile app to act on my behalf. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so if you notice, here's the Twitter app that just came up. This is a default browser, which we could actually replace it with a web view. And here's a response that actually comes back from the service when I sent my initial authentication in. I got this giant token back, which I then use to authenticate to the next service. Okay, so once I connect to the Twitter API, I get a token back. Now what's going to happen is this token can be used in later calls to basically connect to the API service for Twitter. It can send posts for the user. It could then get the user information. It can get all kinds of information that is available on Twitter. So this is the most important step right here. That's part of it. Okay, and we actually have to send this. This is going to come back in the redirect as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and sign up, and then we'll get a callback response to a web app notification or web app callback address that is available after the authentication is complete. Okay. Okay. So now the success message came back. So now, if you notice, it's going to zoom in here a little bit, if we can. Maybe we can't. Anyway, this is basically just a JSON. What happens is this callback address is actually part of let's try it again actually so I can show you. Okay, so this address is actually part of the callback URL that comes back. Now this is a JSON that I basically get back from it. It's irrelevant in this case, but the important part is basically this URL. Okay, so if you notice here, this token and verifier is sent back. This is important information. This OAuth token basically allows me to do the query I was referring to earlier on the user information. It can allow me to send posts on the user's behalf. It can allow me to get all the posts from the social media sites, etc. Okay, this is very, very typical on OAuth type authentication. Okay, And that's how basically this app works. So that concludes my demo. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.